Hi folks, and welcome back to physics. Well done to everyone who completed assignments last week. There was some great pieces of work uploaded to Teams, so really well done. This week we're going to be finishing off the section on weight and mass by looking at how weight and mass are affected on other objects in space. From the success criteria, you'll be able to see that by the end of the week we should be able to state what the difference is between weight and mass, what the units are for weight and mass. Last week we looked at problems involving weight and mass. Those were mostly on Earth. This week we're going to be solving problems on weight and mass when we're on other objects in space. And we should all be able to write out all working for equations correctly and be able to use appropriate units. This week we're also going to compare your weight on Earth to your weight if you were in other objects or on other objects in space. And what we're also going to do is create a guide that describes a trip to another location in space. So that's our learning intentions and success criteria for the week. As with last Monday, you'll find a checklist in the files folder on Teams. All of these tasks should be completed by Sunday night, and that means that you're ready for the work that will be posted next Monday. Your first task is to watch a short video as an introduction to your tasks for the week. So if you click on the link at the top of the checklist, it will take you to a video that should appear looking something like this. It's less than 2 minutes long, so it's just a very quick introduction to our work for the week. After you watch the video, I want you to make your own note in your jotter or on paper, or if you want to type it, you could do that as well. Make sure you include the following 4 points. Tell me what the difference is between weight and mass. Tell me the units for both. From last week, you can also write down the equation that links weight and mass. And lastly, for your note, I want you to describe what happens to your weight and mass if you go from Earth to the moon. Your second task is to click on the link for BBC Bitesize, which you'll find here. It will take you to this page, where if you scroll down, you'll be able to see the equation, which will help you with the previous task, so you can check that you've got the right form written down in your note. And then secondly, you'll see this table that shows you a number of space objects, and for each of the space objects in the table, it tells you what is the value of its gravitational field strength. And you'll see there's quite a range between all the objects that are listed in the table. We've got Earth, which is 9.8 newtons for every kilogram, and we used that number last week in our problems. You can see that there's values below 9.8 and much higher than 9.8 as well. Once you've found that table, have a read through the information, then you're going to make your own table. And I want you to show the gravitational field strength of Earth, which we've just covered as 9.8 and used last week. And I want you to pick another 5 space objects that are in that table. So your own table should have Earth plus another 5. So you have 6 rows in your table showing the space object and the gravitational field strength of each one. Your next task is a wee bit of practical, just so that it's not all looking at screens and doing problems. I want you to see if you can measure your mass using scales. If you don't, you can estimate. So if you don't have scales, don't worry. estimate your mass, you can use something online to help you estimate. Then I want you to record your mass in kilograms. If your scales don't measure in kilograms, you can use this wee unit converter by clicking on the link that you'll see in the checklist, and it should appear on your page through your Internet Explorer. After you record your mass in kilograms, you're going to then use the equation that links weight and mass and use that number 9.8 that we talked about earlier and we used last week in our calculations. I want you to calculate what your weight is on Earth, and then I want you to repeat that by calculating what your weight would be on the other 5 space objects that you listed in the table earlier. So calculate your weight on Earth first, taking your mass and multiplying that by 9.8, because that's the gravitational field strength for Earth. Then I want you to take your mass in kilograms and work out your weight on the other 5 space objects in the table. And you do that by taking your mass in kilograms and multiplying by the gravitational field strengths for those different space objects. Once you're finished, you can upload the pictures of your table and your calculations onto Teams using the assignment tab. And then your final task for the week, to get something a wee bit different from looking at information and videos and doing problems, is I want you to choose any space object that you can think of. It doesn't need to be one that you included in your table. It could be a planet, a moon, a star, or any other space object that you can think of. It could also be a galaxy if you wanted, just any other location in space that's not on Earth. I want you to create a TripAdvisor guide that describes a trip to your chosen space, object or location. You can do this in any way you want. If you want to do it on paper by doing a poster or a leaflet, or you can use your digital devices, you can make a PowerPoint, you could use Publisher, you could make a Sway, you decide. Make sure your guide includes information on the 4 bullet points that I've got in this list. So tell us about the length of journey and the mode of transport that you would have to use. Tell us about the weather conditions on that object or at that location. Tell us how the gravity compares to Earth. And tell us what you would need to pack in order to survive that trip. You can then upload your final piece of work, again using the Assignments tab. As usual, any questions that you have, please ask on Teams at any time and I'll get back to you. Last week we organised an online Teams meeting for Thursday at 12 o'clock, and we're going to plan on doing the same again this Thursday at 12 o'clock again. So please join in. You don't have to speak or ask anything. If you just want to listen to the chat and the discussion that's going on, that's absolutely fine. So I'll maybe see you on the meeting, but otherwise I'll speak to you on Teams soon.